I mean, have we officially lost our minds? This 2009 Lexus GX470 has just over 100,000 miles, it's 16 years old, and it's listed for $25,000.
And in less than 24 hours, it's sold. These have become one of the hottest SUVs on the market. But is there really any reason why they should still cost this much?
Today, we're gonna take a deep dive into this legendary SUV to find out if it's truly worth that money or if these prices have just gone completely out of hand. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Performance on Wheels. If you're a fan of 700 horsepower go-karts to boring daily drivers, you are in the right place.
My name is Todd, this is my son Austin, and we would appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button.
Now, if you've been watching the used car market the last few years, you should already know that the GX470 has become almost legendary. People absolutely praise it for its full-time 4x4 system, its extremely reliable 4.7 liter V8, and very plush comfort throughout the entire interior.
If you didn't know, this is the last year of the GX470. Yes, there was a GX prior to what most of us know, the GX460. And there are some debates that maybe this is the better GX when you're breaking things down. Some of those highlights that might make it better is it's simply just not as complicated. There's a few less electrical bits. And the big thing to me that stands out is this is actually 300 to 500 pounds lighter than that GX460. I will admit, we've looked at many GX460s, but this is my first time hanging out with a GX470. And my first impressions are that this thing is pretty rock solid. Obviously, the engine got updated as time went on, but this is one of the most bulletproof drivetrains that has really ever existed. And you got a little timing belt. So you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the 2UZ FE, like my dad mentioned, rated as one of the most reliable V8s of all time, which is actually also paired to one of the most reliable 5-speed automatic transmissions of all time. The only things that these engines are really known for is every 90,000 miles, you need to do a timing belt procedure, which there's so many videos out there online that it could be a DIY repair, or you could bring it to your local Lexus or Toyota mechanic and expect to pay between $1,500 and $2,000. In addition to that, there's a couple of minor items to look out for. There could be some issues with exhaust manifold bolts cracking, some valve cover leaks, and some other minor seeps here and there. All things considered, that is one of the most minimal maintenance repair items that I've ever heard on any engine. I mean, you're talking about every 90,000, almost 100,000 miles. You need to do a $1,500 repair. Otherwise, change your oil, change your transmission fluid, and you just drive.
And the kicker there is every 100,000 miles, because it just keeps going and going. There are documented examples at 400,000 or 500,000 miles. So this drivetrain is really rock solid. If you ever have to replace the starter on it, that is supposed to be quite the bear of a job, because it's pretty into the engine there. It's not just a simple bolt-on the bottom like a lot of vehicles are.
All right, so this thing may be very cheap to maintain on a day-to-day basis, but it is not very cheap to drive. And do you just happen to know what this thing manages to get for fuel economy?
Yeah, you're completely right. This is one of those vehicles where premium fuel is actually required. I think the people will argue that it is recommended, but any of the experts, any of the enthusiasts say, if you want this thing to keep running, put the premium in it. And at 14 to maybe 16, 17 miles per gallon, this thing is really a gas hog. So ultimately, you have a vehicle that the engine and transmission will never die with the minimum maintenance, and you might go broke driving it from a gas mileage standpoint. The only other things you really have to worry about is if it's plastic or if it can rust, you might rot it out or it might degrade just over time.
That is great and all. So we have a vehicle that can essentially run forever with quite minimal maintenance, but how does that justify it being $25,000? I mean, let's just put this into perspective here, right? $25,000 is more than you can purchase a brand new Ford Maverick, Ford Escape, something like that, right?
Very true.
Or let's say you don't want to get something that could potentially be unreliable or under warranty, right? We could even look at something older, like something with Toyota's most reliable V6 of all time, the 2GR-FE, that 3.5 V6. You can get like 2016 RX 350s in this price range at this point. Like 25 grand is a crazy amount of money. And that's not just because this is the perfect example. These are selling over $20,000 with high miles on them. Where is this coming from? We can only start talking about the design.
I'm glad you brought it up. The design is essentially timeless to me, but it's not just that. I need to take a quick squirrel moment, go down a few rabbit holes before you take the design back here. Ultimately, you have a vehicle that is, how many years old at this point?
I don't know, off the top of my head.
19, we're going on
20 almost.
We're like 17, 16 years old.
We're almost to collector plate points.
Yeah, almost to collector plates, but you still have the luxury features that you will find on a lot of cars today. No, you don't have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but you've got some stellar headlights, some great taillights, some well-functioning comfort amenities. That's because when this thing was built, it was built way over-engineered to last for decades, essentially. So now you have a vehicle that has incredible off-road capability, which none of those vehicles that you mentioned could keep up with this on the off-road trail or on a camping excursion. You have some decent towing capacity. Remember, this is an SUV that is on a truck frame, so it's not like a unibody. This thing is tough. It's not just a luxury, but it is also extremely tough.
I know you pointed out some of the cool luxury amenities this thing has, and I just wanted to touch on a few more of them on the exterior that I think aren't comparable to anything from this generation. And one of them being the little illuminated lights on the two ends of the running boards. That just feels so special when you walk up to it. There's not many things that have that just nicely illuminate where you're about to step as you get in. And you think that's cool. What about a third window on the back that cracks itself open that you can allow some airflow into? And say that's not that big of a deal. Well, there are very few cars from this generation. They were actually starting to phase their ways out that have a tailgate that opens like a barn door.
I love it.
I think adds so much personality and practicality to the GX470.
And back there is where you can find your third row. Back in 2009, a third row was something different than it is today. The GX460 has it nice and flat, where there is a little awkwardness and clumsiness, which I kind of like. We'll call it the retro styling of the seats that went up against the side. Yeah, it blocked your view and wasn't necessarily user-friendly, but it sure looked cool, and you can still take those seats out. If you look at the cargo gate in the back, how many vehicles come with all the tools you need to repair it right on the panel? There's not many tools there because there's not many repairs.
As great as things might be up top, down below, there can be a lot of issues with these, and that's a big reason as to why this one is so valuable. These are so prone to rust. A lot of the drain holes and upper frame mounts and areas where some of the control arms attach have a huge tendency of rusting through and rusting out. So whenever you're buying one of these, do exactly like I'm doing right now. Get under here, hit the thing with a hammer, get a screwdriver and start stabbing it, and ensure that it does not go through the frame, because if it does, it dramatically kills the value of these, and it can be an extremely costly repair. Also, air suspension issues in the rear can be common on the GXs of this generation. Let's get on top of this thing because it is not comfortable down here.
Excellent point, because this thing looks great on the exterior, so getting under it is fantastic, but getting in it is where the party starts, because this thing is still fantastic. The 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever year you happen to be watching this video, I just feel that this is absolutely timeless. Now, one thing to point out in this GX470 is that the dashboard is absolutely flawless. That was a dramatic improvement that took place in that generation shift to the GX460, is that these are extremely prone to cracking, but this one looks really good.
It does look really good, and all of the buttons on our dashboard that include our climate control, our radio controls, our small navigation screen, all of the buttons that control our air suspension, our heated seats, our shifter, our dash, I mean, it's just flawless. I mean, it's so clean and it's so well designed. There's just something about getting in a Lexus of this generation that you can just feel the craftsmanship and the quality of every component in here. You can feel that it's going to last.
A few of the favorite things that stand out to me in the interior is Lexus always nails the wood. I love the option for the wood grain steering wheel, and I love how that wood matches what is on the center console there, as well as the doors. It's high quality, it looks really good, it stands the test of time. The seats also really stand out to me. They're just perfect. It's the perfect level of comfort, of cushion and firmness. The armrests are in the perfect spot for long journeys. It's just a fantastic sitting position. It is so well done.
The back seats are just as good as the front as well. Another fantastic sitting position, but the third row is a bit tight and I would only recommend use for kids. All right, I think that's enough of talking about the interior. There's not really anything that's known to go wrong or be problematic inside of these things, but I think we need to go for a drive so we can get some air moving. It's 100 degrees outside. Behind the wheel, we have 260 horsepower and 320 or so pound-feet of torque. This thing's a dog. This thing is so slow. Around an 8-second 0 to 60, Lexus claims, but it's not about speed. It's about power and torque and towing and being able to climb over rocks, and that's exactly what this thing can do. But what is most surprising to me is with how robust this is off-road, with how capable this vehicle can be in an off-road climate. Its on-road performance and presence is very, very impressive. And what I mean by that is the smoothness of the transmission, the suspension as a whole. It's so comfortable. I mean, I was just having to drive a $17,000 new Navigator Black Label for work a few days ago. I put quite a few miles on it as I was out shooting a video on it and exploring it. This drives better. This has better feel through the steering wheel. It has an actual steering wheel, not the stupid oval. It has better feel in the suspension. It's more comfortable. I can feel less of the jarring road. It might have had something to do that the Navigator I was in had the 24-inch wheel package, but it's crazy to me. Like, this is approaching 20 years old. This has 100,000 miles on it. And it feels more luxurious from a driving standpoint than a new $100,000 luxury yacht 3-row that you can buy at your local Lincoln dealership. And it sounds better. We don't have that stupid twin turbo V6, but we have ourselves 4.7 liters of V8 that will run forever. Now, it's not common on this channel that I'm going to talk so highly about every single vehicle, so it really does have to be something special. And for my first ever time driving a GX470, maybe it's just because of how flawless the condition is in the one that we're in, I have essentially no negatives to say behind the wheel. It's just that good. The brake feel feels like a new modern car. I mean, you'd think it has a brand new brake booster in it, how much brake pedal pressure that there is. The throttle response is just like a naturally aspirated V8 like you would hope that it would be. It's instantaneous no matter how little you press the pedal. The visibility is incredible. Just massive windshield, huge mirrors that tilt down nicely when you throw it in reverse, and big windows all the way around you. And the one last thing to touch on when we're talking about a luxury comfort SUV is the overall road noise, what it brings into the interior, what it's like to drive, and it's pretty minimal. However, since this does have a belt-driven fan, you can hear that fan down low start to spin up when you start getting just barely into the rev range. So you have a little bit of engine noise down low. As you're cruising down the road, however, rock solid. It's very quiet in here. So outside of a little bit of minimal engine noise down low, it's a very quiet, luxury feeling spot to be. So we've justified the fact that this is one of the greatest cars that you can buy and just have the rest of your life. But is it worth $25,000? That is just a crazy amount of money to me. I don't think it is. I really don't. I think this is an amazing vehicle, but I think that if you just dedicate a vast majority of your time to Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, that you can find yourself a better deal than what a lot of dealers are scooping these up for and reselling them. I think the market is getting completely out of hand for these. I think 25 grand is crazy.
I don't disagree. It's just a gut feeling. I know that someone's going to be happy and enjoy it for years and years and years, which that's what's cool is the 16, 17, 18 years later, you can still buy a vehicle and just hop in and go. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of these older vehicles are so intriguing. We really enjoy checking them out on the channel. The GX470 is a definite win. I wouldn't be ashamed to have one in my garage. Maybe I will. We'll see how things go here. Thank you so much for tuning into the video today. We'll see you next time.